Hello, and welcome to Tech Connects, Dice's podcast where we dig into the topics on tech hiring, recruiting, and careers that matter to you. I'm your host, Nick Kolakowski, and today we're going to be talking about the impact of artificial intelligence on the job market. There's a lot of hype out there about AI replacing jobs, but the reality is that most companies don't need to hire expensive AI specialists. Instead, by focusing on upskilling their existing workforce and developing an AI strategy, companies can leverage the power of AI to achieve their goals. As we dive into all of that, we're chatting with Laura Baldwin, who's the president of O'Reilly Media. If you've worked in tech, you're well aware of O'Reilly's training offerings, which include a massive online learning platform. I wanted to talk with Laura because of her insight into how companies are upskilling their workers for AI, the ethical implications of AI, and much more. So let's jump in. Thank you for being on. I'm really looking forward to talking to you because, obviously you have incredible insights into the demand for AI talent, specific AI skills, what companies are looking for, the gaps that exist for companies in terms of finding workers skilled in AI. And as president of O'Reilly, I just kind of wanted to begin with seeing, or kind of hearing from you. Where do the biggest gaps exist in terms of companies trying to find workers who are skilled in all this AI technology? How are they attempting to meet this demand, and where does the demand actually live?
It's a really interesting question because I actually think about it a little differently. I actually think companies, you hear all this, we need to hire AI engineers. We need to hire AI engineers. But that's not really what they need. When you take a step back and you think about 6 million companies that are small to medium-sized businesses, less than 500 employees, right? The AI engineers that are working at OpenAI and for Gemini at Google, those are the engineers that have to understand the depth of LLMs, that have to understand the super complexities around AI. But for the rest of the companies that are out there, they don't actually need that skill set. They don't need it. What they need are people that, when you think about it, all of these companies, most of these cloud vendors are doing partnerships with these AI companies, right? To bring their offerings into the cloud, the AI offerings into the cloud. You need people who don't know how to train a model, but know how to work with AI. They have to understand what's out there. They have to be able to integrate it with their business. So there are plenty of developers out there. Yes, they're still in short supply, but they already have the basic skills they need to work with AI as opposed to on AI. And I think that's where most companies, even our own customer base, we hear them say, we need to hire AI engineers. It's like, well, what are you trying to do? Because a lot of those AI tools are available in the cloud, or the AI chats work through APIs that you can integrate with your own work. And so I think people need to take that step back and really understand what the capabilities are that are out there, and then think about what they're trying to do as an organization, and then take the step of what do we need. I think right now there's a lot of fear out there around AI. We don't have AI engineers. I don't necessarily think you need them. You need AI as a tool. It is a tool that will enable your strategy. You need to think about that first. And I think there's so much hype that people are getting worked up about it instead of taking that critical step back and evaluating the team they have and the skills they have that can implement AI and work with AI as opposed to on AI. Is that?
Yeah, and it makes total sense. And it seems like, there's a generalized franticness, and it's driven by, every time I think corporate leadership looks at the stock market and sees how NVIDIA and all these other major AI companies, how their stock is jumping and how they hear about their competitors getting AI, it obviously contributes to that. I don't want to say fear, but yeah, that sense that, we need to kind of get on top of this. And it also, based on what you're saying, it almost sounds like a lot of companies, they hear the buzzword, they want AI, but they haven't quite on a tactical level sort of realized like the sheer, if they actually wanted to implement this, like the sheer expense associated with hiring tons of AI engineers, building out the infrastructure, building out the data, cleaning the data, all the rest of that stuff. So it sounds like a lot of companies are in very early stages when it comes to
Well, and
any part of
yeah,
this almost.
yes, and many of those companies have very competent engineers. I mean, think about what's even happening in AI, right? There's all kinds of open source models. So understanding open source and understanding how to work with Mistral or Llama, like these are skills that people already have that they can add, yes, to their portfolio of skills. But there's probably people that are on your staff that, with the right amount of training and a little bit of work, can actually get there. And
Yeah.
I think that problem that I'm seeing with AI, and I've written about this in some of my posts, is, people are desperate for, we need an AI strategy. And I keep saying, no, you don't. You need a business strategy. AI is the tool that will enable it. And when you start thinking like that, you think differently. And you think
It's
differently about the skills you need and the people you need, right? Like we've got this amazing engineering and product department that are so rooted and loyal to what we're trying to do in the market. I sure would rather help them get to where they need to be than try to hire in from the outside. And I think that companies are just so fearful right now of that AI is going to take away our jobs or take away our business. They're not really thinking about how it can enable them.
it sounds almost like they need to take a breath, take a step back, and then realize that it's almost like prompt engineering is probably I would imagine that's probably the most valuable skill when you come down to it.
Exactly. And our CTO, Andrew Odawan, has said that, like being able to really write a good prompt. If you want to test your engineers today, give them that exercise, see what comes out, have a team of them work together to figure out, here's our business problem. Let's write prompts to see what kind of answers we get. It can be a playful exercise to help people learn how AI works and how they can apply it in their business.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing about prompt engineering and like that, the level that you're talking about AI training and skills, like the prompt engineering, the interacting with the tools as opposed to like trying to build the tools or build whatever from scratch. It's when I talk to engineers, some engineers work at companies that do have like that prompt engineering training work already underway, and like they're learning how to it's not just asking Gemini to give me a code snippet, it's evaluating the code snippet, et cetera. And then other companies are still sort of at the what's a prompt level, or like they don't quite understand that you need to build a really intensive prompt, et cetera, and like all the nuances of asking it please, which for some reason generates better results and so on. But I mean, if for any company, sort of how do you see what's the best way to upskill? Like, what's the best way to kind of get everyone on this road to like kind of training them and making them better at prompting or whatever they need to do? Like,
So
yeah.
I think before you can hit that step as an organization, you have to have a step in front of that, which is, what are the tenets of AI that you believe in as an organization, right? We believe, I'm going to read one that we wrote for our team. We believe in the transformative nature of AI to augment jobs, solve large scale problems, and create economic opportunity. Why do I think that's important? Telling your staff, you need to get trained up in AI, you need to get trained up in AI without an understanding of why or how they're going to apply it is going to create fear and tension. Oh my gosh, I'm training my replacement. There's so much hype out there about AI is going to replace jobs. If your organization sets that tenet up front, then your people are more likely to like be excited about learning it and try to understand it, because we've told our team that we want to apply AI ethically and we want their help. And one of the best ways to learn it is to play with it. So we opened up Gemini to everybody. We're a Google shop. We opened it up, but we created a set of policies around it for how people could use it and how they needed to make sure that they didn't give away intellectual property that belongs to our authors. So if you take those steps up front, the training piece is fairly easy if you have a good learning system. I actually really believe you got to have the right system with the right content. But first, before you can do that, you as a company have to make those AI tenants and that strategy of AI is going to be a tool, and with that tool, we want to build X. If people see that outcome and they know what they're trying to do, it makes it so much easier for them to go into any learning service. There's many good ones out there, and learn what they need to learn. So I think companies are making that like, okay, we need AI training. It's like, okay, great. What are you trying to do?
Yeah.
Well, we don't know yet. That's why we have to get AI training. It's like, no, AI is a tool that will enable a strategy. You've got to think differently. And I think that's where the hype is really hurting businesses, because they're not taking that step of What do you believe as an organization? What are you going to use AI to do? What have you always wanted to do that maybe you couldn't, that AI can help you with now? How do you enable that for your organization? And if your people see that and know that plan, it sure makes it a lot easier to learn. The team that we have right now working on AI, they're not AI engineers. They've been engineers that have been with us for a while. They used our own platform to train themselves, of course, working with our CTO. They use services like Medium and other places like that. But they've done it on their own because we know what we're trying to build. So there's an outcome that they're going for, and they're trying to see how AI as the tool will help that. It's the mistake I think most companies are making is they're not taking that critical step up front.
So, I mean, you're aiming before you fire, as opposed to a lot of companies that are adopted like the fire, ready, aim mentality to it. Ethical AI is one of those buzz terms that also gets thrown out, and a lot of companies are like, oh, we need ethical AI, which is great. I mean, obviously AI should be ethical, but what does it actually mean? What does it mean to you? I mean, how do you proceed as a principal with ethical AI?
I mean, the basis of ethical AI, of course, is, making sure that it's right, not just taking it word for word. I still think there needs to be human in the loop around AI. The hallucinations sometimes are fairly bad.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of it, but part of it is how you're going to use it, right? And that's the part about we believe it can augment your job instead of take your job away. For O'Reilly, we have thousands of content creators. The best minds in the technical world produce our content. For us, ethical AI is making sure that the models that we're putting in place have a way to pay them for their work, which is not what is happening right now with some of the larger AI models. They have taken, that's what all the lawsuits are about. We're going live with our first product in a couple of weeks where we have figured out a way to pay the original content creators for the portions of their content that's used to generate an answer to a technical question. And we're proud of that. That's ethical AI. That's doing the extra work to make sure that the people that really have been the basis of our business are properly remunerated for their quality content.
It also seems like
AI can only regurgitate what's been put into it.
Yeah.
Right? All it's doing is taking copyrighted material from the past and surfacing it up in another way. So that to us is ethical AI.
Yeah. I mean, and it's amazing too, because it seems like that so many companies are embracing sort of an AI strategy that runs counter to that, where they're trying to cut humans out of the loop, and then sort of squeeze out the cost savings by sort of burning everything to the ground, for want of a better term, and rebuilding. It seems like you're creating this balance, which is really fascinating too, and it's good for people.
Yeah. I actually did an interview about this a while ago. There was a particular bank who did a literal press release saying that by 2030, they were going to eliminate 20,000 jobs, or whatever the number was, 18,000 jobs. And I'm like, why would anybody ever want to work there? What kind of value are you telling your customers you subscribe to if all you're trying to do is make more profit? I mean, this is a bank that the people who put their money there need to trust in them. So what a horrible thing to do. Yeah. And my issue with that is, like, how do you know you don't need those people to implement better AI solutions for your customers? In other words, you're making the leap of we're going to replace our people with AI instead of understanding what are you trying to accomplish? And especially, what are you trying to accomplish for your customers? They think it's good, it helps their stock, but in the long run, it doesn't. I would never put my money in that bank.
No,
so ethical is also about how you are trying to apply AI to what you do as a business. And I think if you don't put your customers first, one of O'Reilly's operating principles is it best for the customer? Is it best for the customer for us to tell the world, oh, we're going to lay off a bunch of people because of AI? No one's going to trust you. So ethical AI is also about how you talk about it and how you think about implementing it in your company.
Yeah. And again, I mean, it seems like you're actually thinking about this, whereas a lot of companies, compelled by the fear of losing out to the rest of the market, are kind of like rushing in with all of this. And that's sort of, obviously it's bad, but like you said, I mean, it's bad for PR, it's bad for everything related to company reputation and things like that.
I totally agree.
So once you establish these principles, once you have like your ethical AI framework in place, and then you're proceeding with upskilling your people, maybe a couple selective AI related hiring and so on. Since it's such new territory, with other kinds of technologies, like a random programming language like Python or whatever, you can have these feedback loops with training and upskilling and so on, where you can evaluate how well people are actually learning it, and then obviously working it into their workflows, and then ultimately whatever the output is. But with AI, since it's so new, how are you evaluating? How do you evaluate that? Employees have successfully upskilled and they've learned and they've integrated the right way, and essentially that you're doing it right. How does any company determine that we're on the right track with regard to AI? Just because it's so new, it's difficult.
Again, I'm going to go back to one of our tenants. I'm going to read it for you. We understand the limitations of the current LLMs, and as such believe human intervention is still required to ensure reliability, accuracy, transparency, explainability, and prevent hallucinations from making their way into our products and services. So for us, the way we test it right now is via humans. So we're doing a lot of work with, summarization and test questions and quizzing and things like that with AI to add to our products. But we have a highly competent editorial team that is working and putting a process in place with all of our talent to verify those results right now. Mm-hmm. I don't think any company can just blatantly say, hey, we used AI to do this and not put that human check onto it. Now, that's O'Reilly's belief. That's my personal belief. It's O'Reilly's belief. I think many companies in the race to get AI to market are maybe skipping that step right now. And I think they'll pay the price later.
Yeah, no. And in terms of the later part of it, everyone is in such a rush right now to implement this stuff yesterday. But this is also a long-term play. AI, right. Who knows what the future holds. But theoretically, this is the sort of thing where you're going to have to be refining it for years in order to kind of hit a sweet spot with regard to humans in the loop and outputs and everything being sort of factual and so on.
Well, and for us as a company, that's our brand. O'Reilly's brand is built on the most trusted content available in the technical world. We can't take that risk.
No, absolutely.
So again, your brand doesn't get better because you say we've used AI. Your brand gets better because you continue that market promise.
Yeah,
there's AI to get there and you still violate your market promise, you haven't accomplished anything.
Yeah. It's sort of like you don't want, if you're using AI in search results, for example, you don't want the search results to return that people should be eating a rock a day for better nutritional, but you know what I mean? You have to
exactly.
Especially with training. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. It's not, but the interesting thing about it though, is that everyone, I was before we jumped on the call, I was talking about how I was talking to a couple of analysts yesterday, and even people who are kind of very deeply steeped in all of the AI news and research and so on going on, don't really know how these AI tools are going to evolve. They have an idea, they have theories and so on, but nobody's sure how the market is going to potentially look in 3 or 5 years or whatever, which, in tech is, who knows how tech is going to evolve, but it seems like they're flying particularly blind in this instance, which potentially makes long-term planning, for training, for hiring AI specialists, for laying out an AI strategy a little bit difficult. And I'm wondering, since you're heading up this organization, how do you think of the long term in terms of AI? How do you try to ideate how this might look when it seems like there's so much uncertainty?
So I totally hear you about the uncertainty. And I've actually believed that for a long time. I've thought 3 and 5 year planning is a little bit silly for a long time with the speed at which things are moving.
Yeah.
But there are skills. If you think about what I said earlier, which is all of these AI companies are making deals with all the cloud vendors to bring their tools into the cloud services, right? So what do you need? You need people who can think critically. You need people with emotional intelligence. You need people with creativity, right? Mm-hmm. That can actually say, oh, wow, look at this tool that's been added. Look at this tool that, Gemini added to AWS or whatever it might be, or to their own cloud service. How do we as a company utilize that? That's creativity. That's critical thinking. That's about knowing and understanding the market. Mm-hmm. If you're a good engineer, it's about integration. How do I integrate what they've built into this cloud service into our business? And so those skills are those are the skills that have created innovation inside of companies for a long time. And I think that those are critical as part of the AI training. I don't just think it's you need to go hire a $300,000 engineer who knows LLMs.
Yeah.
Because again, it's been commoditized, and that's what's happening now, right? For a long time, it was about what is AI. Now it's about AI in production. Well, if you have really good, smart engineers, literally, they've got to have a good training platform. I totally think that's imperative, but they're all capable. And so I think companies need to take that understanding and say, look, here's what we're trying to do. And that's why at the very beginning of this call, the companies have to understand what they're trying to accomplish with AI, not just how does AI work or what are we going to do with it? How are they going to accomplish something? And if your engineers are smart enough, as ours are, they can help figure that out.
It also seems like the return on investment would be a lot better if you have your people, you're training them versus trying to hire like a cadre of like those $400,000 a year engineering types.
Yeah, and let's be honest. I mean, that is, there's those big companies that can afford that, and that's OpenAI and Gemini, and the big models are obviously paying that for people that can actually work on AI, right? Not work with AI. But when you look at the cost of an AI engineer, I think it was either Glassdoor or Indeed, they're between $193,000 and $318,000. Right. When you think about 99% of the businesses in the United States being SMBs, right? Small to medium-sized businesses, less than 500 employees, they don't have that kind of dollars to put into one person. So what they've got to be able to do is create that training focus, which is so much cheaper, obviously, than having to go out and hire anybody new, right? And give their people opportunity. If they're excited about what you're trying to do as an organization and they know they get to be part of it, it's amazing what they will do on their own. I believe learning is self-motivated, right? I think companies can force it, but I actually don't think it works as well as creating and giving them a platform that allows them to be self-motivated. Like I said, our team of AI engineers right now working on one of our vector databases, none of them had backgrounds in AI, and they're doing it, and they're doing a great job.
It's amazing. And I'm wondering because, I mean, you obviously have really spectacular insight into this. Is there an in terms of AI training? I mean, would you describe it as an upswell of enthusiasm? I'm not quite sure how to phrase it for it, because I mean, it's so hot right now. I mean, I imagine that people who are interested in training are like really keen on being AI trained. I'm just wondering if the hype is matched by the training.
No, it totally, you can see it in our platform data. I mean, I can actually give you that actual report from last year that shows the increase in AI. It was some huge percentage. So people on our platform where we're doing, conferences, what we call super streams that are talking about the bigger picture of AI. And then we've got a lot of online training courses that people are joining, which is about actually working with some of the open source models and some of the models out there. The difference between using an API key and putting in your information directly. We're trying to do all of that training on the platform, and they're full all the time. All those courses are full all the time.
Wow,
so we've got about 5,000 enterprise customers, about 3 million developers on the platform, and they're definitely trying to figure out what is going on and what do I need to know.
And I imagine, I mean, that's given that this stuff is being baked so rapidly into like every facet of like developer workflows and so on. I imagine that demand's probably not going to drop anytime soon.
No.
In fact, it probably is going to increase.
And by the way, it's going to go beyond developers. Go look at the tools that are available today. Just Google AI marketing tools and you get like lists a mile long. Some of the Excel tools, right, are amazing. The AI Excel tools. People are using it in sales for, closing techniques and things like that. They're using it in marketing for demand gen. The need for AI skill does not stop in your IT department. You as an organization have to think far beyond that. So what we've done at O'Reilly is we've encouraged our teams to go out there and look at what's available. And if you want to try something, you've got to send a note to our AI alias and let us take a look at it to make sure that it's not going to violate any of our tenants or any of our copyright issues. And we let people try and play, but we do it in a controlled way.
Yeah.
Right? And that alias is filled with, oh, hey, I'm a designer. I want to do this. I'm in marketing. I'm thinking of doing this. I'm in IT. I want to do this. I'm in sales. Can I use this? It's been really eye-opening, and you can see the people that are excited. That also shows you the people that are trying to figure it out on their own.
Yeah, and that's the fun part of it, just in the sense that you have your empty prompt field, and it's you can enter virtually anything. And you might, I mean, granted, I mean, I've been experimenting with it for a while, and sometimes you get something that's like a complete wet firecracker. Like it just absolutely gives you nothing back useful. But you can see that how it could permeate into every single aspect of an organization, potentially all the way down to any job.
No, and I think that that's a really important thing to recognize when you're thinking about AI or AI training for your organization. If you start at the high level with the tenets and what you believe and how people can use it, you're going to have people that are more excited about trying to help your organization figure it out.
Yeah, yeah. No, so I mean, granted, tech has its trends that kind of come and go, but it really does seem like this one is gaining some serious legs.
Yeah.
Unlike some in the past that are going to go unmentioned.
Exactly. Well, and that's why, we really just did all this analysis on this training versus hiring sort of story that we're trying to put together to help people see it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, don't let yourself fall short of the AI revolution because you feel like you can't hire people. Take the people you have, spend a few $100s on each one of them. That's all it takes to get them where they need to be to help your organization. Because I do think AI is transformative for every company. And so not taking advantage of that because you think you don't have the right people is the wrong way to go.
It almost seems like what you're doing could also serve as a template to a certain extent where you allow people internally to play in a controlled way with guardrails, but allow them to play nonetheless with the tool and see if you can come up with some innovative something or some new way of kind of like refining the workflow. And that's also fascinating too, that you can have sandboxes where people just play around and it makes work fun. So I mean,
yeah, as long as they understand, right? That's my whole start at the beginning. Like, start from that place of having them understand. If they're entering something directly into ChatGPT or Gemini and they're not using an API key, whatever they're entering is going to be used by that model and can be, well, if you're doing that with our talent, our authors and our speakers and our writers and our trainers' content, you're violating that copyright. So we have to be very careful because we really want to honor that.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely critical. So. And that's it, folks. That was a real deep dive into everything related to AI, wasn't it? Here's some key takeaways from the discussion. First, if you're a manager or executive at most companies, by which I mean a company that doesn't have tens of millions of dollars to spend on AI talent and infrastructure, consider focusing your efforts on upskilling your existing workforce to work with AI tools, rather than hiring expensive AI specialists and trying to build out that ultra-expensive AI infrastructure. Second, develop an AI strategy before training your employees to ensure they learn the most relevant skills. Third, use AI responsibly and transparently, ensuring proper attribution of content and human oversight to prevent errors. This is especially crucial when you consider how businesses run on trust. If your AI efforts can't be trusted, you're going to be in big trouble. Fourth, provide ongoing training opportunities and encourage experimentation with new AI tools, as this field is constantly evolving. We hope this episode has helped you to better understand the impact of AI on the job market. AI is a powerful tool that can be used to transform businesses, but it's important to use it wisely. We'll see you next time, and remember, we are your best resource to find the tech talent you need to fill your open roles, and for tech pros, the best place to grow your tech career.